It ain't going nowhere. It's like Jenga, but with firewood poles. You'd probably want to leave the side plates on. Some of this is taller than my hip. This thing's doing a good job hanging on. Hey everyone, Mike here, Rusty Garage and Homestead. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be running a new chainsaw, cutting up on a tree. We're also going to be using our TYM 2515H tractor with our Stinger Grapple from Stinger Attachments. So Dad's been out the past couple days doing some brush hogging. He's been up on the hill, getting the meadow cleaned up, and then he's been down here in the bottom. He stopped last night a little bit early, so he's got to finish this. And then I went and checked in the timber where we normally plant some wheat for a little food plot for the deer, because it also needs brush hogged in a bad way. This stuff is tall. This is about hip high to me, so this needs brush hogged before we can go ahead and plant it. But while I was down here looking, I found a tree that blew over that's recent. So this tree I did have marked. It is one of our black walnuts. I try not to cut those unless they're dead. This one, you can see it uprooted, but it's still not dead. You can see these limbs here. Leaves are still green all up through there. But since that thing blew over, it's going to end up dying, so we need to get it out of here. Plus, it's in our way whenever I go to bring the disc down here. So we're going to get it cut up for firewood so it all don't go to waste. And I think once I get this cut, I'm probably going to pick it up with the grapple up some where it'll be out of these tall weeds, and I'll go through and limb up everything as much as I can. The junk or the trash I'll pick up, dump on the brush pile up there. Then I think since the root ball's already right here and we got the backhoe on the tractor, we'll go ahead and finish ripping this thing out and go toss it out of the way. So let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use our Husky 572 to cut it away from the stump here. Then I'll show you all the new saw. Grapple should be able to pick it up from there. But I think while we're here, I think I'm gonna go ahead and use the backhoe, move that out of the way, and try to get the stump dug up. Stuck a little harder than I thought it was. Doing a good job hanging on. I see a root coming all the way out through here, all the way up by my outrigger. That's part of it. Actually surprised the roots growing across the ground down here in this bottom. It's normally pretty soft down here. I think we got her now. Okay, let me get this thing spun around, get this picked up. It ain't going nowhere. I sure like black walnut. This isn't a very big one. This is probably, yeah, fairly small. I mean, all it's going to be good for is firewood. And I hated to see this black walnut blow over. We've got a handful of them around here. This is one of the smaller ones. We've got a couple pretty good size ones, but again, they're still alive, so I really don't want to cut them down. So I don't have a sawmill yet, and I don't want to just cut up the black walnut trees for firewood. We've got a decent amount here, but not like we do oak and hickory. So let me grab the new saw, show you it. We'll get it fired up, and we'll start limbing this thing up so we can get it out of here. All right, here's the new saw, a Stihl MS200T. They don't make the saw anymore, and this was probably one of the best climbing saws that they ever made, or one of the best climbing saws out on the market that you could get used now. But this saw isn't mine. This I actually got from my pastor at my church. He had it gone through, I think he said 1.5 years, 2 years ago, a while back, and it's just been sitting on the shelf. So he told me to take it, run some fuel through it, so that's what we're gonna do. So it isn't just sitting up on the shelf. Whenever I got it, it still had the tag on it from when it was in the shop. So if you guys can come up with a better factory climbing saw than the 200T, leave a comment down below and let me know what it is. So let's get this thing started. Again, yeah, these little top handles are just extremely fun. That's why I keep one on the side by side all the time, but it is nothing like an MS200. This thing's cutting good. We'll get to using it quite a bit more here coming up. This was just a tree that I wanted to get picked up out of here so we can get all this brush hogged. But looking at the length of it, I don't think I'm gonna be able to fit through those trees back over there. I think I'm gonna have to drag it out here backwards for now. So I'm gonna get this thing set down. I'll probably go ahead and grab the root ball real quick because it is gonna be in my way backing out of here. But we'll get a hold of this, back out, get it picked up, take it up the top of the hill. Because as soon as we get a good rain, all this stuff down here, we're not gonna get down here. It's gonna be too wet. Now this stuff, some of this is taller than my hip. Since we're already down here, we're gonna go ahead and get the limbs picked up now with the grapple, get them dumped on the brush pile so I can make one trip up to the top of the hill and I gotta come back. That's probably the smarter decision. I might be able to drop it here and snake my way around some of these trees to get out of here to that pasture. It's a little wider back here. Well, we'll try it. Worst case, I can't. I'll just drop it where it's at and grab one end and keep dragging it. These teeth hang on this grapple. You can see grapple arms are up, but then serrations. There's a hole back there. We'll see how this does. I don't have the side plates on the grapple, so this log's a little small. There's one spot on this whole area that I'm worried that I potentially could sink. That's this one right here on the side of this hill. That was in two-wheel drive. That's good. Everything's dry right now, everything's dying. But the side of that hill, there's a spring that comes out of that, and it is always wet. That's why it's so hard to do any work down there. You either got to wait till it's really cold, a good drought, or normally mid to late summer, and it'll dry up enough. But right now it's dry enough we can get down there and do some stuff. My plan was to go ahead and drop this black walnut off right around in here at the top of this hill so we can get to it whenever. But since I've already got it on the grapple, we'll just well take it up, at least toss it to the other side of the fence. Not going to be able to go down the normal road because it's definitely too narrow. And I think to get across the pond dam, I've got one set of trees right there. I think I'm going to have to come at it headed south and then make a hard left turn to get these limbs to go around it. That's the plan anyways. Oh, that one's gonna hit. Gonna have to go more right. Oh, a little bit more. It's like Jenga, but with firewood poles. This thing's long enough, those two keep slapping the ground every once in a while. That one's been staying up. I don't know how long that black walnut is, but it's almost touching those totes right down there. Long and skinny. That would have been a real pretty tree another 20, 30 years. Black walnut just looks real good to me. It's one of my favorites. Favorites to look at, not necessarily firewood, but I didn't want to leave it down there. It needed picked up anyways because it's in the way. And again, don't have a sawmill, so firewood it is. That's better than letting it go to waste. But it is, I don't know, as big as my hand on the base. So it'll make some good firewood, for sure. These little limbs down here, just bust them down, saw them up. We're not gonna have to, this stuff, this is still fairly, we'll bust it in half anyways. But it was still living. Hadn't been blowed down that long. Okay, it'll probably fill up maybe half an IBC tote, I don't know, maybe 3/4. It's fairly long. That was definitely a little bit of a pain. Something like that would have been a lot easier to, for one, cut the second limb off up here where it didn't have that big Y in it. But something like this would do real good to load it up on a trailer where you're pulling it straight, because that was that was definitely too wide to be hauling it the way I did. But anyways, it's done now. It's in the wood yard. I know I said I wasn't going to bring any more logs down here in the wood yard because I want to get it all cleaned up, because we're probably going to be moving it soon. But that tree needed picked up from where it was at, so this just makes a good staging area. And I don't know, we may come down, go ahead and knock it up in 16-inch pieces here in the next day or so. But how do y'all think the grapple did? That thing, to me, fantastic. That thing works great. This opening is huge, but if I had the side plates on it, that would have been no issue holding this black walnut nice and firm. I think if a person was dealing with this size of trees pretty regular, you'd probably want to leave the side plates on your grapple. But this grapple, being a rock bucket with independent grapples basically, it makes it very versatile. You can fit a pretty large round of wood in this grapple because the opening's pretty big, and yeah, so very versatile. If you've got dirt piles with stumps in them or rocks or anything like that, you can pick it up. Having the rock bucket on there, you can sift it out of there and get all the debris picked up, moved over to another location. But everyone, I appreciate you tagging along. Hopefully you learned something or found it entertaining, one or the other. But I appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.